Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing this morning? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, and we will be ready to go. So I'm looking for that thumbs up. Okay, perfect. Got a thumbs up from Shannon. Okay, and that thumbs up means connection's good. Everyone can hear me. We can see everything. And we're ready to start. So today we're going to go over property ownership. And after that, we're obviously going to go over vocabulary because you guys know I love to do that. So we're going to do those two things. And let's get started. Okay, first question of the day. An owner purchased an interest in a house in a resort beach community. The owner is entitled to the right of possession only between July 10th and August 4th of each year. Which type of ownership most likely has been purchased? A, condominium, B, trust, C, timeshare, or D, cooperative? What do you guys think? Okay, and the answer there, B, timeshare. Good. Do you guys know the difference between a condo and a co-op? Write down the difference between a condo and a co-op. What do you guys think? The difference between a condo and a co-op. Okay, so in a condo, you have individual ownership. Co-op is shared ownership. So for example, if there's 10 units in a co-op, you own 10% of all the units, 1/10. Okay, in a condo, you own one of the 10 units. All right. Okay, moving right along. The difference between a freehold and a leasehold estate is A, ownership versus the right to purchase, B, the right of survivorship for the tenant, D, ownership versus possession, or D, who is obligated to pay the property expenses. What do you guys think? Okay, so the answer here is C. So you have your freehold and less than freehold estates. Okay? Another word for a less than freehold estate is a leasehold. Sometimes I say if you say less than freehold a million times, it'll eventually sound like leasehold. Less than freehold, less than freehold, less than freehold, less than blah, blah, blah. Sounds like leasehold after a while. Okay? So you have your freehold and less than freehold estates. Freehold has, generally speaking, unlimited ownership, free of time. Less than freehold has a designated period of time. Okay, this question's a little tricky because it doesn't say that, limited period of time or undefined period of time. But you do know with a less than freehold estate, you have possession, but you don't have ownership because it's a lease, somebody else's. Okay, moving right along. Well, before we move right along, can you guys tell me the 4 different types of less than freehold estates that could come up on your exam? What do you guys think? What are the 4 different types of less than freehold estates that could come up on your exam? Estate for years, periodic tenancy, estate at will, and estate at sufferance. Those are the four you must know. Estate for years, estate for will, periodic tenancy, and estate at sufferance. Okay, good job. What are the different types of freehold estates you must know? What do you guys think? What are the types of freehold estates? Fee simple absolute, okay, a life estate, and fee simple defeasible. Okay, fee simple absolute, a life estate, and fee simple defeasible. Okay, I see Tanya wrote tenancy in common and Allison wrote joint tenancy. Those are different types of ownership, which we'll go over in a little bit. We're going to go over that today. So hold that thought. But those are different. Those don't have to do with estates. They have to do with type of ownership. Okay, next question. Which of the following would be classified as a general lien? A, real estate property tax lien. B, judgment lien. C, property tax lien. Or D, mechanics lien. Okay, the answer there would be a judgment lien. Good. All right. So you have general liens and specific liens. Can you guys tell me the difference between a general lien and specific lien? Okay, specific means is for that one property. General means they could go after everything you own. So you have your specific liens and general liens. Good. Specific lien is limited to one thing only. All right. Can you guys give me an example of a specific lien? Give me an example of a specific lien. What do you guys think? Can you guys give me an example of a specific lien? Mortgage, good. Mechanics lien. All right, property tax. So if you look at the board, they're the ones that are not a judgment lien. So which one's the general lien? Is the judgment lien leading to this question. Can you guys give me an example of a voluntary lien? Give me an example of a voluntary lien. What do you guys think? Can you guys give me an example of a voluntary lien? Good. Mortgage. I feel like when I do these sessions in the morning, people always answer much quicker. You guys are a little more awake and on it. Good job. So a mortgage. Do, 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 do. Okay, when property is owned in severalty, the A, owner can be a corporation. B, property may be owned by more than one person. C, property may be owned by spouses. D, property owner may sell, will, or lease the property to another person. What do you guys think the answer is? Okay, and the answer there, D. So severalty means sole ownership. Okay, severalty means sole ownership. You own it by yourself. All right, so you can do whatever you want when you own it by yourself. Okay, so my question to you is, what's it called when you own it with somebody else? So severalty is when you're alone. When you own it with somebody else, what's that called? And Sandra says property may not be owned by spouses. What they're referring to is two spouses own it together. The spouse can own it individually as severalty, but what they're referring to is they own it together. Okay, so when you have it with somebody else, it's called a concurrent estate. A concurrent estate. So my follow-up question, obviously, is what are the different types of concurrent estates? Who here could tell me the different types of concurrent estates? There's two of them that you need to know. There's two different types of concurrent estates. There's more than two types, but there's two that you really need to know. Joint tenancy and tenancy in common. Okay, joint tenancy and tenancy in common. What is the big difference between joint tenancy and tenancy in common? What do you guys think? What's the big difference between a joint tenancy and tenancy in common? All right, so I see right of survivorship and I see tip. Which one has the right of survivorship? Joint tenancy or tenancy in common? So which one has that right of survivorship? Okay, joint tenancy does. And what that means, if I own property with you and I die, you get the property. Therefore, I cannot will it. Okay? You also see tip. What does tip stand for? TTIP. What do you guys think tip stands for? Time, title, interest, possession. Time, title, interest, possession. Okay, that's what tip stands for. Time, title, interest, and possession. Tenancy in common only has one of those unities. So a joint tenancy, there's four unities: time, title, interest, and possession. Tenancy in common only has one unity. What unity does tenancy in common have? So joint tenancy has four. Tenancy in common only has one. Good. Possession. Wow, you guys are on it today. Nice job. Okay, possession. If you were taking property with a corporation, would it be tenancy in common or joint tenancy? What do you guys think? If you were taking property with a corporation, would it be joint tenancy or tenancy in common? Good. Tenancy in common, because that right of survivorship, corporations don't die. All right, moving right along. A tenant who rents an apartment from the owner of the property holds a license, B, leasehold interest, C, freehold interest, or D, easement. What do you guys think? Okay, we went over this before. Hopefully everybody gets it right. Answer is leasehold interest. Okay, and real quick, we all did this before. Quickly, as fast as you can, I want everybody to write the four types of less than freehold estates. Write the four types of less than freehold estates. So we did this before, so hopefully everybody can write it super quickly. What are the four types of less than freehold estates? So we have estate for years, estate for will, periodic tenancy, and sufferance. Nice job, Trisha. Good job, Trisha. Out of those four types of less than freehold estates, which would be the most likely one you would use for a summer rental? Which one is the most applicable to like a summer rental? So that'd be a state for years. A state for years. It would not be the period to period or the periodic tenancy. That'd be a state for years. Okay, because that has a defined period of time, a definite beginning date and a definite end date. Good job. Which type of less than freehold estate would it be if you had somebody who stayed in the property but did not pay their rent? So what type of less than freehold estate would it be if somebody was in the property but they did not pay the rent? Good. Estate sufferance. The landlord suffering. Good job. The seller has a number of custom-built freestanding bookcases and media centers he has agreed to include in the sale to the buyer. How will these items be conveyed to the buyer? A, within the deed. B, by a bill of sale. C, with a deed of trust. Or D, as part of the real estate. Okay, and the answer is B. Okay, because that is personal property. Bill of sale is used for personal property. What would you use for real property? What do you guys think? So if a bill of sale is used for personal property, what would you use for real property? Okay, a deed. Good. Excellent. By the way, for all you guys who like listening to podcasts, I have a podcast on iTunes. You can look up PrepAgent, real estate exam material. Find me there. I'm going to try in the next upcoming months to really improve that so you guys could listen to it while you go to the gym or whatever it is you do. And you can listen to my voice while you're, doing the bench press or push-ups or squats or whatever it may be. Okay, here we go. Moving right along. A property is owned by three cousins as tenants in common. If one of the cousins dies without a will, to whom will his interest pass? A, the other two cousins equally. B, the state by the law of escheat. C, the deceased cousin's heirs. Or D, the other cousins in joint tenancy. Thank you, Omanike, for that nice word. It's very nice to hear you're proud of me. Proud of you guys, too, for studying. This has been a long labor of love. We started this a while ago as a way just to make it a little cheaper to study for the real estate exam because everybody had those expensive crash courses, so we wanted people to do it online. So thank you. I appreciate the kind words a lot. This has been a long-standing labor of love, which started with a few tutoring sessions online many years ago, and now here we are. Okay, here we go. You guys circled C. Okay, the deceased cousin's heirs. So we talked about this before. We talked about the difference between joint tenancy and tenancy in common. This property is owned by three cousins, tenancy in common. If one of the cousins dies without a will, to whom will his interest pass? Okay, it's the heirs because there's no right of survivorship. If it was a joint tenancy, it'd be a different deal. Okay, moving right along. The priority of liens refers to which of the following? A, the fact that specific liens have greater priority than general liens. B, the dates liens are recorded. C, the order in which the liens will be paid if property is sold to satisfy the debt. Or D, the owner in which a debtor assumes responsibility for payments of obligations. What do you guys think there? Okay, see a lot of you guys circling C, so we'll go with that. Excellent, good. Let me ask you guys this question, though. If you have two liens, and one's for taxes and one's for mortgage, which will get paid back first, the taxes or the mortgage? Yeah, taxes always get paid back first. Okay, the type of easement granting a right-of-way for a utility company's power line is A, easement by prescription, B, easement in gross, C, a pertinent easement, D, easement by necessity. And the answer here, easement in gross. Is an easement a lien? So is an easement a lien? That's my question for you guys. Is an easement a lien? You guys are answering no. Why is an easement not a lien? Good, because it doesn't have to do with money. It does not have to do with money. Okay? Who could tell me what is an easement by prescription? What's an easement by prescription? There's one word that should come up to help you remember what an easement by prescription is. Nice job, Phoebe. Right? Time. It has to do with time. So I love that Phoebe wrote one word, because remember, you got a lot of words to remember for your exam. Okay? So you want to use these simple ways to remember. And easement by prescription, a good way to remember that is just remember the word time. And hopefully that will help trigger, the rest of the definition. And an easement by prescription, when you use it for a certain amount of time, you get the right to that easement. And that amount of time changes as per what state you're in. If I am crossing your property, am I the dominant or am I the servient tenement? If I am crossing your property, am I the dominant or am I the servient tenement? Okay, and the answer is dominant, because you are serving my purposes. You are serving my purpose. Okay, you are serving me. You are servient. With an easement in gross, what makes it unique is that there is no dominant tenement. You are crossing a property, but not with the intention of getting to another one. Okay? That's why this is an easement in gross, because they're not trying to get to another property. They're trying to get to utility company power lines. Does that make sense for everybody? So the big thing about an easement in gross is there is no dominant tenement. Okay, move right along. Two women own a property together. One dies and the other now owns the property with the co-owner's heirs. The two women own the property, A, as shareholders in their own corporation, B, by entirety, C, as joint tenants, D, as tenants in common. Okay, I think we went over this one quite a bit today, so we won't talk too much about this. Tenancy in common does not have the right of survivorship, which brings us to this answer here. The purpose of a building code is to A, enforce zoning ordinances, B, make sure buildings are structurally safe, C, ensure compliance with the deed's restrictive covenant, D, maintain municipal control over the volume of new construction. Okay, and the answer is B. Can you guys write down an example of a building code that you see in your everyday life? So all you guys live in different areas, different lives, so maybe you guys see different ones. So to help us understand this, who maybe even this morning saw a great example of a building code? You could probably look around where you're sitting right now and see some. Okay, maximum capacity is one, exit sign, handrails on stairs is one. All right, those are good. Excellent examples. Okay, some from the ADA, American with Disabilities Act, which has ramps for buildings that are for public use. Okay, the American with Disabilities Act was 1992, and it was part of fair housing. It was an amendment to fair housing. Who here could tell me when fair housing was enacted? When did fair housing come into play? What year? 1968. Remember, no matter what it says in the exam, if you see 1968, you circle it. I don't care if they ask why the sky is blue. If one of the options and the answer is in 1968, circle it. Okay, good. A building code is a police power. There are 3 other police powers you need to know for your exam. What are those other police powers? So a building code is a police power. I'm sorry, what are those other government powers? That's what I meant to ask. My apologies. Okay, so a building code is a police power, and a police power is a government power. What are the other government powers? Good, so remember P, police power, eminent domain, taxation, and escheat. When the property escheats to the state, does that mean you died testate or intestate? What do you guys think? Testate or intestate? So if your property escheats to the state, that means you died intestate. You had no will. Kind of like Ebenezer Scrooge. Did he have no will? I don't remember. It's been a while since I saw that movie. Okay, moving right along. Before construction, in addition to an existing home, a homeowner should secure a code certificate, B, building permit, C, certificate of compliance, D, certificate of occupancy. The answer there, B, building permit. Good. All right. To determine the kinds of land uses and the amounts of land for each use in a subdivision, a developer must consider A, the master plan of the local government, B, which buildings will provide the most profit for the developer, C, what the developer considers an ideal development, or D, the customs of an area and what other developers have already constructed. Okay, good. The master plan, which is the layout of the city. Some cities have good ones, some cities have bad ones. Los Angeles, not so great. Sorry, people from Los Angeles. Lots of traffic there if you guys ever go there. A wooded area with biking and hiking trails is situated between old cotton mills and a housing development. This area is considered A, variance to the existing zoning, B, buffer zone, C, utility easement, D, non-conforming use. Okay, the answer here, buffer zone, this is one of those just knowing your vocabulary. To determine whether a location can be put to future use as a retail store, you would examine the A, housing code, B, list of permitted non-conforming uses, C, zoning ordinances and regulations, or D, building codes. Okay. So before you put a store there, you have to see if it's zoned for commercial. If it's zoned for residential, you may not be able to put a store there. Remember, you have commercial zones and residential zones. Don't overthink these questions. Some of you guys overthink it, and that gets us in trouble. Pass now, think later. A store owner has operated a neighborhood grocery store for the last 30 years. Her store is the only retail property in the area which is zoned residential. The store is an example of an A, non-conforming use, B, illegal enterprise, C, variance of the zoning laws, or D, violation of the zoning laws. Okay, she is given non-conforming use. Non-conforming use because her usage is different than everybody else's. And sometimes they'll grant that as long as it doesn't affect the rest of the community. Okay, let's do some vocabulary real quick. What do you guys think? Ready for some vocabulary? Yes? Okay, who here knows what a blanket mortgage is? A blanket mortgage. And to answer, Jennifer, to answer your question, if there's a gas station before and they want to build it for commercial, yes, they always need to check for zoning. Before you build anything, you got to check for zoning because the former property may have non-conforming use, like we said before, or there may be different rules put in, things of that nature. Good question. Thank you. Okay, a blanket mortgage is something that covers more than one property. Okay, so if you don't pay, they'll take more than one property from you. Affiant. What's an affiant? Affiant. Okay, so an affiant, anybody who makes an affidavit or gives evidence, that's a harder one. Don't feel bad if you didn't know that one. Okay, moving right along. Bilateral contract. So the previous one was hard. This one should be a little easier. So what's a bilateral contract? Everybody should know this one. Promise for promise. Good. Promise for promise. It's not two parties. Be careful with that. It's two promises. Because a unilateral contract has two parties. It's just only one is making a promise. If there's not two people, you don't need a contract at all. Okay, move right along. Easement by prescription. We went over this today, so hopefully everybody gets this one. And I remember we said there's one word that should stand out to you. Good. Time. All right. See, this is a big, long, boring definition. A legal enforceable right to make use of all the property of another as a result of a continuous, uninterrupted use of the property for a period of time as established by statute. So you can remember that big, long, boring definition, or just remember the word time. Okay, I'd prefer just to remember the word time. Okay, yield. So the max amount of time, to answer your question, it depends per state. And we're all from different states here, so I don't want to mention because I don't know the time limit for every individual state. So look that up on your specific state. But the easement by prescription time limit varies per state you're in. But what's true for everybody is the definition of an easement by prescription has to do with time. Okay, yield. Okay, is a ratio of income for an investment to the total cost of investment over a given period of time. It's the lender's profit, pretty much. The yield is the lender's profit on their investment. Good. A lien. I hope we all know this one. I think we do. I think everybody's going to get this one correct. A lien. Lien money, lien money, money lien, money lien, money lien, lien money, lien money. And we talked about general liens, specific liens, voluntary liens, non-voluntary liens, all that good stuff. Good. An encumbrance gets a property for money. Equity. What's equity? Equity. Equity relates very much to the previous word we just went over. It's your interest in the property above and beyond all liens against it. Liens are money you owe, remember? So it's your interest after all liens are paid off, okay? The market value of real property less the amount of existing liens. I don't know why, but when you guys write in all capital letters, it feels like you're yelling at me. Maybe that's some weird typing thing. I know, it's my weird thing. Does anybody else feel like that? When somebody writes in capitals letters, it's like, ah! No problem. Just kidding, Saeed. No problem. Okay. Testate. Okay, what is testate? Okay, testate, having a will. If you die intestate, which one of those four government powers could potentially come into play? If you die intestate, which one of those four government powers that we discussed earlier could come into play? The answer there is escheat. Okay, so that's all for today, guys. We'll be back tomorrow. Remember to check the schedule. And as always, go to our PrepAgent Real Estate Exam study group. Post questions so people could help each other. You know, we all learn more when we learn together. And I hope you guys have a great day. You guys were totally on it today. Today's group, you guys are answering quickly, correctly, had great questions. So I'm super appreciative of everybody who joined today. And I hope to see you guys again tomorrow. Thanks so much, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.